credit score. That's Larry, that may be the least of our problems. So here's the deal, guys. On what should have been Mellow Monday this week, I had to talk about the LA riots because there's a bunch of foreigners invading the country and essentially conducting wartime operations in an American city. And a large faction of our political landscape is treating it like this is just reasonable, normal activity. Going so far, I shit you not, going so far. If you haven't seen the clip yet, a CNN reporter said, oh, it's not a big deal. This is just, some peaceful protesters, some young guys and who are having fun, enjoying watching some cars burn. Like, hold up. Wait a minute. Now, Mario has slipped off into a black hole, and we haven't seen him all week. So this morning, I don't want to talk about the damn riots. I don't. I've got something else I want to talk about, and that's longevity science, etc., just to take a break from the psychopathy. But since I brought up the topic of psychopathy, I'm going to go ahead and reintroduce you to Mario. Morning, Indeed. Sunshine. And I want to get Mario's take on the psychopathy that is raging across Los Angeles and the rest of the city. In fact, the rest of the country. So much so, there is an organization that is running an interactive map to plan additional riots across the country.
Yep.
For this weekend. Right. And that's going to play big into our safety brief tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, as most of us have been guessing, there was a critical lack of riots, like an Antifa, insurrectionist, communist, radical activity. Okay, after the election, and we're like, wonder what's going on. Where's all that dark NGO money that goes to finance these left wing causes and insurrections? And now we know.
Help shut down USAID?
Yes, but. Apparently that's not enough, because what you have here, they finally found their thing. Okay, I knew they would find something by the summer. Okay, that would be basically the communist torch they were going to bear. Okay, going forward, and this is it. So looking at it, it's impossible to look at this without looking back just 4 years ago to the riots of 2020, the BLM Antifa riots, right? And I'm thinking about it in terms of what would be the effective strategy for Trump to respond? Okay, because last time the Trump administration's response was to essentially leave it to the governors, okay, provide support if needed, but basically don't take a strong federal role in dealing with the race riots, okay, nationwide. And I thought quick, at Mario, the time,
it's worth pointing out that a lot of the Democrat governors who were very vocally speaking out against Trump's use of the National Guard in this riot personally ordered the deployment of the National Guard in support of law enforcement for their riots. Yeah, for example, Tim Walz.
Correct. It's the coward's way. Okay, it's the crybaby way. Okay, it's governor not taking responsibility for what's going on within the major cities within his state, and then when the federal government does something, then cry for mercy, scream about the optics of it. Anyway, so Trump took a very hands-off approach last time they attempted this insurrection. Okay, this time I don't think that's not a good. I mean, that can't be the strategy going forward. Okay. But at the same time, especially in California with Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom, okay, what they really want, and they're sick and disgusting people for this, is they want a mass casualty incident. Okay, they want either the Marines or ICE or National Guard, whatever, preferably military, to open fire on the citizens, which. Let's be honest. How many citizens are there participating in those riots? I'd say about 50% of them are probably illegal. Okay.
Yes.
Especially given that we've had the revelation that it was actually like 20-something million illegals crossed into this country under the 4 years of the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. 20 million. So
Yeah, to
Yeah,
be clear, that is more than the number of soldiers we have.
correct.
It's not
So
more than the number of slightly paranoid and well-armed rednecks that we have.
yeah.
Hmm.
So the Democrats want something massively provocative, okay, and violent to happen, okay, and they want it to be something they can attribute to Trump's hand, okay. So my response to that, if this was a game that I'm playing, I would do something provocative does need to happen, okay. What I would do is I would arrest Newsom. I would have Newsom and Karen Bass arrested. That that would be politically shocking, okay, uh, but it wouldn't be violence on the streets, okay, but it could be equally effective. Um, I really think Newsom needs to be arrested, and it should be done publicly. Call
So
CNN. Call CNN.
I
They
don't.
can come with you when
Yeah,
you arrest him.
I don't want to stay on this for too long, but because I really do want to talk about the longevity
Yeah,
thing
I'll
and
shut up
get off
about
the
it after
riots.
this.
But let me say this. So Newsom had his thing where he said, I dare you, come arrest me. Come arrest me. Just get it over with.
Do it.
Newsom saw how much the mugshot did for Donald Trump's political trajectory. Newsom wants his mugshot. He is grossly miscalculating the support that he has right now. The
Yep.
Democrats and the Democrat media, the government cheese media, are still are running headlines now about how Trump is underwater in polling in an aggregate, and that's a lie. Trump is currently polling more popular than any of the last three presidents, excluding, of course, Donald Trump. He's kicking ass and taking names. If Newsom is arrested and if Bass is arrested, that will absolutely bolster Trump's numbers, not the Democrats, because
Yep.
the only thing that's holding a lot of the thing that's kind of dampening the reception for a lot of guys like me and Mario is Trump hasn't done enough since he came in. Now, he's been in for 5 months, right? Just under 5 months. That's not a lot of time. And the truth is, he has done a lot in that time. But he and his cabinet and his appointees and his secretaries have not delivered on some important key points, like arrests for the lawfare guys,
Yeah.
like Epstein file stuff, releasing certain files. They've dragged their feet and disappointed us on a lot of those things. If he was to suddenly start arresting people like Newsom, Bass, Fannie Willis, Letitia James, etc., those things right there would take us a very long way in the right direction.
Yes.
All right, that's 10 minutes. Okay, go ahead and final thoughts, and then let's get to the actual conversation.
Yeah. So instead of targeting the people on the street, which of course the media would side with, okay, target the elites in California. That's what I would do.
Yep.
Because and as far as Trump's polling is concerned, I believe that Trump is considered actually a stabilizing force in not just in politics but in American life in general at this point. Okay, because you've got the Bolshevik left wants war with Russia, the Zionist right wants war with Iran, and Trump's refusing to give them their war. Coincidentally, this morning or yesterday, Israel appears to be ready to strike Iran. So I of course, right now would be the time you would do that, right? Because I don't know, man. But see, that's what I'm saying. Trump is actually the stabilizing force in this.
Yes.
So anyway, longevity.
Okay. So, my wife brought this article to my attention yesterday, and so this is what we're going to talk about. The axolotl salamander. Boston area scientists discover key to limb regeneration. Now, here's why I want to talk about this. For one, I don't want to talk about the riots because I've covered it the last 3 days. And like I said yesterday, I hate it when the news cycle does this to me. But I want to do more positive stuff. And I'm actually glad you brought up the riots this morning, Mario, and we talked about it a little bit because I want to explain this distinction to you guys as well. It's hard to cover good news.
Yeah.
Right. It's very hard to cover good news. We talked about we just son of a bitch. I just spilled my coffee. We talked about how Newsom wants his mugshot. The left wants their mass casualty event, and you've all heard the expression, if it bleeds, it leads. Well, now, why is that? Okay, one of my favorite feel-good stories, there was a dog in Japan whose owner took him with him to the subway every morning, got on the subway, went to work, the dog waited at the subway station. The dog would leave, go play, whatever, wander around Tokyo, and then he would be back at the subway station on time when the master got home, got off the subway, and they'd walk home together. Did this for years. People knew the dog was going to be there. Old man has a heart attack, dies while he's at work, doesn't come back on the subway. The dog still shows up. The next day, the dog shows up again, not in the morning, at quitting time, when he's expecting the old man to get off the train. This goes on for a couple of years. The dog shows up every single day, right? They built a statue to the dog. Loyalty, honor, tradition, etc. I love that story.
That's a nice story.
You might go and tell your friend that story because it's a great story. You might even Google it so you could read it, see a picture of the statue to the dog, right? Great story. Patrick Brown mentions Hachiko was the dog's name. Yes. So go look up the story of Hachiko and see the statue. Great story, feel good story, beautiful story about love overcoming and loyalty and all that stuff. Do you suddenly feel like you need to go and reinforce your door locks or run to the store and buy milk, board up your windows?
Yeah.
Right? What is it that you need to do right now to change your life, to take precautions because of the Hachiko story? Nothing.
Yep.
You had a good feeling. Later on, you might share that good feeling with a friend, and they still won't board up their windows, secure their doors, go raid the department store for toilet paper and bread and milk.
Yep.
When riots happen, when natural disasters happen, stuff like that, you have to take precautions. These things affect your life. Right? The LA riots are going on. We mentioned that there's an interactive map that says there's going to be riots all over the country. You need to go look at that map. And we're going to look at it with you tomorrow going into the weekend. You need to go look at that map and say, hey, am I in one of these hot zones where there's going to be riots? Maybe, forget boarding up my doors. Maybe what I need to do is go and spend the weekend at my parents' house in the country or whatever. Maybe I need to be smart and get the hell out of town. If it bleeds, it leads, because when the stories are terrible, when the stories are dangerous, you need to react to them. You don't have to do that with a feel-good story. Here's an interesting intersection. This is an interesting intersection. Axolotl salamander, Boston area scientists discover key to limb regeneration. That sounds like a great feel-good story, but at the same time, there are some elements to that you do need to think about, that you do need to, you may even need to take precautions related to this.
Yep.
So this is something that has fascinated me for a long time, right before I joined the Army. So we're talking about...
One thing. Yeah, it reminds me of it's a famous interview that Marilyn Manson, of all people, gave back in the 90s, right? And he was talking about the media, and it's basically they're selling you fear, okay? Fear is a powerful motivator of like market forces, whereas contentment is not. Okay, so yes, fear sells.
Yeah.
So
this is less about fear though, but still. Okay, so about 20 years ago, and I've tried over and over to find this article. I remember reading it, and I know that's for a lot of the younger guys watching this. I know that's a hard thing to imagine. Believe it or not. Back in the 90s, we used to literally know hundreds of phone numbers off the top of our heads that used to be a thing, because if you couldn't remember somebody's phone number, well, you weren't going to see them on Saturday. I remember reading this article. I think it was Scientific America. I had an iPad, HPAC, whatever, the Hewlett Packard Palm Pilot thing, and I was reading an article on the internet, on the newfangled internet device, sitting at the flipping mall in Savannah, Georgia, the Oglethorpe Mall, and the article said, essentially, if you can survive, if you can stay alive for 30 years, remember, I read this 20 years ago. If you're still alive in 30 years, then there's a high likelihood that you'll live to be 150. Now, the article didn't say if you're 30 in 30 years, or if you're 50 in 30 years, or if you're 70 in 30 years, right? It didn't go that far. It didn't put that marker on it, right? Now, if you're 99 in 2035, then you might be stretching the credulity, but the idea was that because of what Moore's law tells us about the rate of acceleration of the development of technology, which applies to all technological development areas, the milieu of each of those individual disciplines, because of the rate at which the rate of increases. I know that's a lot of words in a row that may or may not sound like they make sense, but I promise, if you spend a little time in the study of some diffie-q, some differential equations, the math works. The rate of increase of the increase, yes.
Telescoping, yes.
It doesn't just get faster. The rate that it gets faster, exponential increase, right? You go, spoken word to written word over thousands of years, and then you go from written word to hand delivered letters in 100 or 2 years, and then to the telegram, and then the distance from we can make phone calls to we can instantaneously live stream video conversation, right, in less than 100 years of development. It's outrageous. And so the expectation is that, sometime in the next, according to the article that I read 20 years ago, sometime in the next 10 years, we should be looking at human longevity approaching 150 pretty reliably. So this article is from yesterday about the axolotl salamander discovered key to limb regeneration. And this can bring us back to all kind of other topics like Mario. Did you watch the Saturday show that I did solo about AI, where I talked about the chip? I talked about the Neuralink chip and restoring lost limb use, paralysis, blindness, etc.
No,
I know you're somewhat familiar with the topic, but
yeah, I did not. You called me out, and
no, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't mean to call you out. I mean, if I was going to call anybody out, it'd be Cameron, because he needs to post his R.
Oh, look, he is here. Excellent.
He is here.
Oh.
So a team at Northeastern University announced Tuesday that they discovered a key to limb regeneration in axolotls, the smiley pink salamanders that have become a social media sensation. Right. This little guy right here. The findings that one day could help scientists regrow human fingers or limbs. Y'all, that's a huge, huge step. Let me tell you where I think we're going to be.
Yeah.
Where I think we're going to be in 10 years. Between the rate of advancement in medical technology coupled with the rate of development of artificial intelligence technology, you have to understand how AI works right now. What AI does right now is it fails a lot really, really fast so that it gets to the right answer
Correct.
faster than a human being can get to the right answer without making mistakes.
It's a research tool. Correct.
Right. Now, what happens when that research tool is able to crunch the numbers? Because it can. Like right now, the difference is not whether or not the technology can do the work. It's whether or not we can give it the data that it needs to work with. One of the biggest hurdles to developing artificial general intelligence just 5 years ago was the limitation of the technology to efficiently process data from visual images. Right? Well, now we're at a place where if you've got a newer iPhone, you can point it at a plant in the woods and it'll tell you, oh, this is XYZ plant. It has this nutritional value, or it has this poison value, or whatever. Right? We've gone past that hurdle. Where we're going to be in 10 years, we're going to have machines. You ever seen it's going to be way better than the ones in Idiocracy. You've seen Idiocracy, right, Mario?
Of course.
That goes in. So we're going to have machines where basically you walk up, you stick your finger in a hole. It's going to pinprick your finger like you're checking your sugar count for your diabetes.
Yeah.
It's going to run your labs off that blood drop. And it's not going to be, we'll call you in a couple of days, or you go to the VA, right? They take blood, and in a week you get back this long list of documents with your A1C and your cholesterol, et cetera, et cetera. And if something's alarming, the doctor will call you immediately. No, this is going to be poke, whir, ding. And it's not just going to give you the readout.
Yeah.
It's going to spit out a pill. A bespoke pill or a shot of medicine, and it's going to tell you, take this now, and it will cure the prostate cancer that has gone undiagnosed. We're going to be there in 10 years, right?
I was joking. It's the annual phone call you get where it's like, congratulations, you don't have AIDS. Yay!
Yeah. So, yeah, I gotta share this with the audience because I know they all haven't seen this movie. Guys, if you haven't seen the movie I was talking about, Idiocracy, go treat yourselves.
Oh, the button panel on the machine is hilarious as well.
Yeah.
Oh, is someone not feeling well? Your illness is very important to us.
Next.
Welcome to the Health Master Inferno, powered by Pure Me Technology.
This goes in your mouth. This one goes in your ear. And this one goes in your butt.
Hurry up, asshole! Come on!
Sure, hang on a second. This one.
Hurry up!
This one goes in your mouth.
Come on!
And that, ladies and gentlemen, will be the future. That is a future that includes the Department of Education. So this one goes in your mouth, this one goes in your butt. So for centuries, scientists have wondered how salamanders regrow limbs, especially axolotls, which do so at one of the fastest rates, said James Monaghan, biology department chair at Northeastern. So here's kind of what my thinking is on this. As we're talking about that rate of development and technology, I think that the technology that says we can regrow body parts will rapidly, with the inclusion of AI, turn into, oh, you need a liver transplant. Well, here's a pill, and it's going to be something akin to an mRNA type of drug, like what the COVID vaccine was. And it's going to be, here's a pill, and this pill is going to basically tell your body to dissolve your liver and grow a new one.
It's basically it's like Wolverine's mutant healing factor, but in real life, is what it is.
Exactly.
Because the body already regenerates organ tissue. Okay, like all of them, from the skin to the brain. Okay, but it doesn't do it in a manner where it detects like missing tissue or missing, you know what I mean, missing tissue, and regrow that missing tissue for whatever reason. The body does not do that. Whereas a starfish does, okay, and the salamander does. So,
Right.
yeah, if you could unlock that,
Well, yeah, and I mean basic tissue regeneration. Like I had a surgery a few years ago. I won't go into great detail on it, but they removed a chunk of meat from my body, the size of a Coke can. I mean, a huge chunk of meat. And the doctor they didn't suture me up. They just cut out the offending material, and then for weeks I had to pack that wound with sterile surgical gauze, and just wait for the flesh to grow back in, this kind of beefy, red, meaty growth, until, I mean, I have a nasty scar where that was, but they didn't close the wound at all. They left the wound open to the air, and I just had to keep it clean and, I mean, literally wash it out in the shower and then pack it with
yeah,
gauze.
wasn't that around the same time that you became a powerful advocate for trans rights?
It was not. It was not.
Dilate,
Damn, son.
cope, seed, and dilate.
Sergeant Major says, I don't trust Big Pharma now, but I am invested in Big Pharma. Hey, I don't trust a lot of things, but I'm a devout capitalist, old man. Oh. And Sergeant Major says, I was a little grumpy then. Yes, I was. And my wife was a trooper and took good care of me. But the point being that that's going to be how medicine is handled in the not too distant future. Now, AI is already a part of medical technology, of medicine right now, but it's primarily in research and in administration. So AI is transforming medicine. This is from the Harvard Gazette, right? Searched catalog, copied research papers, and shared them with the team. Excuse me. Rodman says it made a big difference in that patient's care. Everyone said, this is so great, this is evidence-based medicine, but it took 2 hours. Today I can do that in 15 seconds. I get it, right? It says it took 2 hours to do the research and pull the white papers and whatnot to understand their to understand outliers, you know, when you've got zebras instead of horses, as they say in the medical industry. I think where we're at right now with AI, especially in places like medicine or in law, the AI can do your initial research, and then you need to check the shit out of it. And then you need to AI your fact check, and then check the shit out of it again. But it's kind of like 10 years ago or so. Okay, you're in college. You're assigned to write a paper on X, Y, and Z, and you go to Wikipedia. You start your research on Wikipedia. You are not going to cite Wikipedia in your doctoral thesis. One hopes. But there's one thing that Wikipedia is great for: resources.
Yep.
You go to Wikipedia, the article is garbage, you can ignore it, but it'll list the sources. And
it gives you the initial
because it's shitlib asshats that write Wikipedia, the sources are also garbage. But the sources have sources. It's a great way to source the starting material to get to the real original sources. Megan mentions Repo Man, and we're gonna have to be talking. We're gonna get to that in just a second. Go ahead, Mark. What were you gonna say?
Shit, what was I going to say? comment distracted me. Joe Buddy says, I don't want to live 150 years. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with that. Okay. No, sorry, I forgot.
Oh, we're talking about doing the sources from Wikipedia.
Right. And also Wikipedia will give you the initial like the spider web. Okay. The branch is how it relates to other topics that you might not have thought of. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it can give you, like, it's like basically give me a clue, you know what I mean? And I can follow the clues. And yeah, you are correct about shitlibs moderating wiki. It's almost entirely American homosexuals and Israelis who moderate WikiLeaks or
Yeah.
WikiLeaks, Wikipedia. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, so okay. On the topic of whether or not you want to live 150 years, that takes us into the rest of what I want to talk about on this topic too. I'm good. I'd love to live 150 years, 300 years, 500 years. Here's the thing. I am not an atheist. I don't believe that we die and that's just the end. I honestly believe there is a whole nother thing that comes after this. I don't know what it is, but I believe it's there. I also believe that next thing is either eternal, infinite, forever, or it's another short step to the next short step, right? So maybe we get reincarnated and come back here, or maybe there's like, you go to the next difficulty level or what. But it doesn't matter. My point being, I don't think that this is the last stop. I think we do something else after we die. The spirit moves on and something happens there. I don't know if that next step is eternal or not, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to get there when I get there. So I'm not in a big hurry to get there, right? So I think I kind of look at this life before we get to that point like taking a long drive with a hot cup of coffee, some good tunes on the radio. I'm not in a hurry to get, I don't have an appointment, a deadline that I'm just driving through the country, right? Like, y'all, seriously, get the hell out of the cities. I'm telling you, I bought this place out here in the country, a million miles from anything that anybody's ever heard of. And just as simple as throwing the trash cans in the back of the truck to take them to the dump. It's about a half-hour trip there and back, about 15 minutes there and 15 minutes back. And just driving. Not a soul in sight, cows, open pastures. And I find myself sometimes laughing out loud like a madman, just, positively emotionally happy, overwhelmed that this is my life. That no more of that bullshit. This is my life, right? And I think about my whole life that way. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get where I'm going. Even when I was deployed, I had people ask me, "Man, how are you always in such a good mood?" Because I was always in a good mood, right? There were two things that were certain you ran into me in Afghanistan. I was smiling and I had a cup of coffee in my hands. Guaranteed, right? And people would ask me and I'd say, I mean, it's a war, guys. How much worse can it get? and if this is the place that I lay it down, I got here. That was my trip. I made the trip. Right?
We've discovered that the Lowry operating system is remarkably stable. All it requires is nicotine and caffeine, and it can run indefinitely.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. as long as I have the correct fuel inputs, I can burn your cities or build them.
Yep.
I've seen me do it. So, Mario, here's the next place I want to take this conversation. Do I want to live 150 years? Sure. Yeah, I love a good long drive, good music, cup of coffee. What if everybody lives 150 years?
Man,
presents
like a
presents some
philosophical
challenges.
question, man.
Oh no, this is a legit. We can do the philosophical point. I'd love to talk the philosophical side, but let's
You've changed the stages of life if you live to 150 years old. Okay, adolescence damn well could go into your 30s. Okay, you know what I mean? And yeah, like having children at 70 years old, that would be, because if you're living to 150 years old, your body's eventual death, okay, your 150-year-old body would bear the marks and the abuse of like a 70-year-old man. You know what I mean? In our current timeline. So in reality, a 70-year-old man in this 150-year lifespan scenario has the body of a 35, 40-year-old. You know what I mean? So
right. So you're not retiring at 65 anymore. You can't.
It's unnatural. I think no, it's really unnatural. The society would actually collapse. Okay, because people, you think we have a problem with like boomer, please retire. I need a job. Okay, like you have that issue in a lot of fields. Okay, well, if you live to 150 years old, no one ever retires. You'd have to society would have to completely change, or society would collapse. Okay, and not everyone's going to live to 150 years old. There would be a definite have and have not.
Oh yeah,
it'd be like
what's that? Honestly, mean? The thing that's going to keep the only thing that's going to prevent society from collapsing, when the medical technology can keep us alive for 150 years, is the unequal distribution of resources. If we have everybody can live to 150 at government expense through socialized medicine, that shit collapses overnight, because there is no such thing as unlimited resource, because time is a factor. Let's say that suddenly Obamacare could fund everybody's artificial immortality. And that requires a process that people have to go through. And even if that process is you walk up to a vending machine, stick your finger in one hole, and it spits a magic pill out the other hole, that takes time. Right? What is the estimate now? 8 billion people on the planet? Okay, forget that. Just the 350 roughly million Americans today. How long does it take for all of them to go through the machine? Right? And that's without taking into account the number of individuals being born per day. Steve says, don't worry, the globalists will see if there's only 500 million worldwide. Yeah, that's the direction that your Bill Gateses want to go.
Correct.
Is reduce world population, extend human longevity, and create that 3-tiered system that I was talking about yesterday, where you have the ruling class, you have the slave class, and then somewhere in the middle, you have this kind of blended paramilitary law enforcement class.
Yeah.
In a global hegemony.
It's California's the model for that. Like presently, you have the elites, you have the government employee, and then you have the rabble. Those are your three classes in California, which is essentially the same thing.
Correct.
The
only difference there is the government employee. In the scenario you just described, Mario, not every government employee has like on the ground arrest authority, and
doesn't matter.
That would be the distinction.
They're the protected class. That's what I'm saying. They're the protected class. Okay, like the middle class.
I get that. What I'm saying is the only difference between what I just described and what you just described, which is the state in California, is that protected second class will not only have they will be a protected class, but they will also, the entire class will be empowered by the law to always be armed and enforce the law in every situation. And please believe that future, there are too many violators to incarcerate. That's how you get Judge Dredd.
The future is feudalism. Ironically. Yep.
Dead air. What you got?
What do I got? Moved to 150 years old. I mean, look, man, you used to sell insurance, okay? Like, isn't the insurance industry based on like calculating death? Isn't that the whole business model is gambling on when
And
someone
they're
is going to die,
very
or
very
something
good
is
at it.
going to expire? Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
so if that were to happen, if the telomere degeneration was solved, okay, where our genetic code doesn't start breaking down on a at around five decades, then yeah, the insurance industry would be the as in most things, they'd have to be the trailblazer to like try to chart out that new world, because yeah, policies, all policies, I guess, would be limited unless you're. Oh, I don't know. You would know more than me.
Well, so that I do not have a large enough calculator or a big enough bucket of chicken entrails to do actuary tables, because that math is witchcraft.
Yeah.
But if you're talking a population where even a minority are living to 150, right? I mean, we already see a problem with the gerontocracy that just refuses to shuffle loose the mortal coil. How old is Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah.
How old is George Soros? Right? And they just refuse to drop dead. And there are a lot of wonderful theories about like what's it called? Adrenochrome and things like that. The medical technology that's already only available to a certain wealthy elite, keeping them alive longer and saddling us with this gerontocracy that does not keep up with the development of the world and attempts to continue to write policy based on their rapidly dwindling understanding of the application of modern technology to contemporary modernity. They're deteriorating in value, even if they're not deteriorating in mental faculties, which is a whole nother thing.
I would be okay with like a gerontocracy, okay, being in power as like basically people with the longest memories, okay, as an insurance mechanism to prevent like radical, dangerous change. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with old people, really elderly people holding positions of power. Okay, what I'm not okay with is our system where essentially it's psychopathy is rewarded, and the people who reach that top are in fact the worst of the elderly people in the country. Okay,
Correct.
that's the problem. It's not Pelosi's age per se. It's the fact that she's an evil person who's basically done insider trading for 50 years and has basically generated enormous wealth on inside knowledge. But
yeah. That they stick around is a problem in and of itself. Now, amid this too, we have the fact that globally, birth rates are down, and severely down.
It's the vax.
U.S. fertility rates dropped. This is from last year, from April of last year. U.S. fertility rate drops to another historic low. And it mentions that there was a brief increase, a brief 1% bump in 2020. Yes, there was. Oh, what? We locked everybody in their houses and told them they couldn't go outside? Yeah, that's
I thought it'd be higher, to be honest. That was like my first, armchair statistician was that there'll be a huge increase in the birth rate for 2020, but it wasn't as dramatic.
Well, let me address that real quick, because here's why that rate didn't spike even higher than it did.
Yeah, because it was paired with the existential terror of a Bolshevik revolution in the country, kind of like what they're trying to do now.
Nope. Where the lockdowns happened, where people were actually locked down, were a bunch of blue states, blue cities,
Yeah.
and conservatives, Republicans. I don't know about you, Mario. My ass was out working. I left the house every day and went and shot pictures of houses throughout 2020. I was out and about. My life did not change substantially, except that the traffic became conveniently less there. Right now, I mean, I still slept with my wife, lived in the house, raised the kids, but I was at home from time to time. But largely I went out, and the only thing that changed for me is some people got more annoying, but there were fewer of them to deal with. And then on the other side of that, the people that did lock down are the abortion until after the point of birth liberals. So, if it had been the other way around, if it had been conservatives that just licked the boot and stayed inside, then yeah, that would have been a 5% bump.
I think you're right. You're right,
Just
Liberty
like
Girl.
with the LA riots, you don't see a lot of MAGA hats out there because we're busy.
Yeah, and well, I mean, it's I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever solved that question. How do civilized people deal with barbarians? You know what I mean? Other than exterminate them, you can't. Anyway, look, Liberty Girl.
Okay, so here's the mistake that's been made, and this is why civilized people have a hard time dealing with barbarians. They've made the mistake of believing
Of projecting
that anything other than slaughtering the enemy horde doesn't qualify as being civilized.
Yeah.
And that is a mistake. Afghanistan went on for 20 years because we didn't go in and
Correct.
finish the fight.
That's right.
If you go in and decimate the enemy at the beginning, that's it. Decimation equals demoralization, and the enemy is routed. Any conflict that lasts more than 6 months was ill-prosecuted from the get-go.
Yep.
Right? The riots going on in LA right now have been going on all week. If the Roof Koreans had just started last Saturday, it'd be over.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Roof Koreans moved out of LA.
Yes.
They are no longer in South Central. Okay.
Actually, I'm not sure about that. Oh, what's his face on X? He keeps giving it. Oh, maybe he's not in LA anymore. He keeps offering advice to people in LA on when it's time to just start shooting people.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major reminds us that we can also prevent war, prevent the exacerbation and the extension and the long dragged out period of conflict with the judicious and tactical application of recreational cannibalism. That turns a lot of people off to getting involved right there.
I can picture Sergeant Major like driving the dump truck that collects humans from Soylent Green, like just scooping them up, dumping them in the back.
But you gotta be careful about making jokes like that, Mario, because that's what Sergeant Major is one of those guys. That shit's funny enough that he might just go buy a dump truck.
No, it's gonna go full Hemeyer.
Just
Hey, man,
for the
look,
sheer comedy of driving around.
Sergeant Major, I want you to know right now, if the final chapter in your life is going to be some type of Hemeyer Killdozer event, I am all in. Okay, I am all in. So please let me be a part of that.
I will trunk monkey your technical.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk right there? You want to talk about some Mad Max shit? You get you a dump truck. It's a diesel engine, right? And just go around picking up the bodies when they drop, and all of a sudden, all you need is a tank in the yard, and you're making biodiesel, instead of dyno diesel to run that truck on. You're a pretty fine fiddle there, Mad Max.
God damn. It'd be like some psychotic Zoroastrian, Tower of Death, you know what I mean? But it's capped at the top, and it's like feeding the gases down to your vehicle. Yeah. Anyway, I have to work early this morning. I actually have to start my shift
Yeah.
in like 10
I
minutes.
think
So
we've
yeah,
been at it for about a little less than an hour. I figure it's about time to put a pin in it. There are some other things that I want to discuss related to this topic, and like I've said before, this is one that I'm going to revisit over and over again. So we'll definitely have an opportunity to dive deeper into the various ramifications. On the positive side, you stick around for 150 years. You get to know your grandkids, your great grandkids, et cetera. You get to see your family grow, spend more time with them, and develop those relationships. More time for personal growth, more time to go from having a shitty burger flipping job to developing a legitimate career profession. But on the other side of the coin, also, there's the danger of further dwindling resources, further expanding the breadth across which resources need to be distributed, and all kinds of other logistical complications that make extended human longevity a complex issue. And then there's the whole question of the eventual war with the machines, which is its own topic. So we'll definitely be coming back to this topic many times in the future. And we appreciate you guys watching this morning. Y'all be safe out there.
Okay.
Real quick, since I've got Mario right here, we missed the show Saturday. I've already addressed this a little bit, but we'll be doing last Saturday's show this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah.
And for that, guys, those of you, I see a few of you watching on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on X, get over to Rumble. If you're not already on Rumble, get over to Rumble, set yourself up a free account. Come back and watch us live tomorrow morning or the first 10 minutes of Saturday evening's Rumble exclusive show. The Saturday evening show is a deep dive. It's Rumble exclusive, which means you have to be a paid member. If you're watching tomorrow morning or in the first 10 minutes of the exclusive show Saturday evening, I will give away a handful of 1 month free trial memberships so you can stick around and watch the rest of the show Saturday evening. And it's going to be a good one. Y'all don't want to miss this one. So with that, Mario, you got anything you want to close on?
Yes. One final thing I'd like to say to the wayward soul Cameron. Okay, you can thank me by doing the needful, sir. You know exactly what I mean. Look up the Amish cultural practice of shunning. Okay, that's what you're on the receiving end of right now, and it will never stop. You are not stronger than the collective, sir. You will bend the knee. Believe me. The question is, how long is it going to take? Do the needful.
Y'all be safe out there, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
There's
OCR, Cameron.
there's a dangerous timeline where the notorious thread like blends with reality, and we have to avoid that. We have to prevent.
Yes.